Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much. Real quick, I have a question. So, how many of you have been following MultiPass for the past year? Okay, thank you. Okay, so thank you so much. My name is Christian Johnson, and I am the co-founder of MultiPass.
I'm Sarah Schlafly, co-founder.
And this is LaShawna Lewis. She's our new CTO. So over the past year, we have gone through just like a crazy journey. So we're going to spend the next about 15 minutes just talking through our journey, our progress, like our ups and downs, challenges of just being a startup. And this is a part of Innovative Spaces Week. This is our second event that we are putting on. This is a week that we started last year. We wanted to create a week developed around like spaces and talking about what does it mean to be an innovative space. So yesterday we had a great presenter from Herman Miller that flew out into town to talk about the metrics of building a great workplace. And now today we're doing 1 million cups. Later we're going to be doing HOK, right? At HOK.
Yep.
And then also Thursday at Venture Cafe, and Friday is going to be our party. So please find out more information on that. Please attend one of our events.
And shout out to Staples and All Steel for sponsoring our whole week this year. That was really exciting. So, but we'll dive right into about MultiPass. This past year, we've been focusing on two things. One was figuring out what we're good at, and the second was figuring out who our customer is. And we were doing all of this by failing quickly, which is something that is a really beneficial thing for startups to do, because you don't want it to waste a whole lot of time on something that's going to altogether not work. So we focused on a lot of rapid iterations and testing the market, learning from it, and then making tweaks and edits.
So what is MultiPass? MultiPass is a network of collaborative workspaces around the world. What we did was, when we first started, we wanted to create a platform where people can, entrepreneurs like yourselves, can book into collaborative workspaces where you're able to travel. So we just basically just built a website and used a third-party reservation platform where people can just go and book. And so we got on the phone with many different spaces and just like, hey, do you want more people to come to your space? And they were like, yes. And basically we just took a commission from that booking. And we started to also just tour all these different spaces. Sarah and I would just show up to different spaces and be like, hey, can we just like check out your space? And actually, we started promoting it and creating videos. That was crazy.
Yeah, and this summer I went on my big Asian tour. I toured 6 different countries in 6 weeks, broke my foot doing it. And I checked out all these different innovative spaces and figured out what spaces we're doing around the world and what entrepreneurs were doing around the world. And as we were building this database of knowledge about collaborative workspaces, we realized that that was something of value to space developers. We were gaining knowledge about how to be a profitable space, because right now only 1 in 4 co-working spaces are profitable. And so we took that and we decided, what are we going to do with this? Because all of a sudden we're providing a lot of support to the spaces themselves. And that's where this network of innovative spaces was born. And now I'm really focusing on maximizing value to the spaces themselves. So the spaces join our network on behalf of the entrepreneurs, and they pay a nominal annual fee to maintain some of our operations. But the benefit of that is I'm developing a partnership with Staples so that these spaces can get a cashback rebate on all of their purchases, which includes furniture, coffee bar supplies, restroom supplies, technology, and then the everyday office essentials. And then first we're rolling that out to the spaces, and then they can roll it out to their entrepreneurs as a perk for officing in their space. So that's one of the programs that I'm doing. Another partner of ours is Herman Miller. So we offer a discount on Herman Miller furniture to the spaces that are in our network.
Yeah, so honestly, like this past year has been a lot of learning that we've been doing. And also Herman Miller, they actually have their own research department, so they've given us access to that where we're able to get just a lot of knowledge. So just this whole year has been a lot of trial, error, messing up, and I wanted to make sure we told you guys that, because a lot of times people, it's like, hey, this is all the great stuff that we're doing. We look really awesome. But as being entrepreneurs, we all know that it's really about trying things and exploring and also supporting each other. So one of the things that we really care about in our whole network, we make sure all the spaces are trying to build strong communities. And this is a part of entrepreneurs learning and working with each other. Also, diversity is a big thing that we make sure our spaces are working towards and have. And also sustainability efforts and wellness goals. So that's more the values that we really care about. We actually interview all the spaces that come into our network and make sure that they have them. We have rejected several spaces because of that, and that's just the way we have to make sure we do that.
Because the reason why we chose the 4 values of community, diversity, sustainability, and wellness was when we were surveying our market of why people come to these innovative spaces, those were the 4 pillars that were distilled from all of the information that we were gathering about it. And so we want to make sure that all of our innovative spaces really support those 4 values. In the summer, we got Lashana Lewis to come on board. She is a phenomenal CTO, and she is developing our mobile application. And it's our first iteration that will be focused here in St. Louis. And what we're doing with this is it'll be a freemium version where there will be a network, a host of free workspaces that you can go to around St. Louis, where you can pop in, don't feel the pressure to pay for anything, and then we'll layer on bookable spaces. So maybe they're higher end workspaces or they're meeting spaces that you can book into and actually pay for. And the reason why we wanted to do both free and paid was because MultiPass is all about freedom and flexibility, and we discovered that it's really difficult to provide freedom and flexibility when people are always having to pay for their space. A lot of the entrepreneurs just want to hop in somewhere that has good Wi-Fi and they can get work done without having to always make a transaction with it. So there are plenty of spaces around St. Louis that provide that, and then our revenue is really going to come from the bookable meeting spaces, maybe some ad revenue as well.
Yeah, and so one thing that we just also launched was our venture arm just recently. So we wanted to be a part of also providing value to the entrepreneurs themselves, and also really solve a problem in venture capital, in the venture capital ecosystem. And so we just launched a diversity fund. Basically, this is a $10 million fund that we are going to be investing in startups led by women and underrepresented minorities. So we're raising that right now, and so we've got an investment committee from different VC leaders from around the world. And yeah, so it's a very exciting journey because this is something that we have never done, and it's a huge challenge. But now, like, just the journey of raising this fund has just been phenomenal. Our partners at Cultivation Capital, 630, have just been great in helping us build it. So that's something that we are providing to all our different spaces within our network, because of course these spaces have startups and they're doing amazing jobs, and we want to be a part of offering them value. So we want to open it up for questions or any comments that you guys have, and hear from you guys.
Please wait for the microphone so the camera can hear you. So, first question.
Thank you, that was really awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about maybe one failure and how you learned from it and just your thought process around it and how you pivoted? Because you talked about making tweaks that we could learn more about.
Sure. There's so many to choose from. You have one?
Yeah, so I would say we started off with like a third-party platform, basically taking commission. And one thing is that with that part, the tech wasn't ours. So it was hard to basically also explain the tech part and answer like the technical questions if the space had issues. So that was an issue, and the way we just did it, what we got around it, was really getting to know the product, the third-party product, and also really trying to also start to build our own tech. So learning that. So it's a kind of a catch-22 because like you want to get started, get fast, and like show your MVP, but also you want to make sure that you are building the way you need to build. So that was one of the things.
Yeah, additionally, we discovered that all of the spaces have their own system and their own way of doing things. And our goal with the MultiPass was to get all of these spaces to work together. And so we had significant challenges of getting all of them on the same page. But the way we're working on this now is supporting the spaces themselves, whether one-to-one or in group settings, I suppose, rather than targeting the entrepreneur and having the entrepreneur try and work through all these spaces with one seamless application, which we will be developing now with this app. But supporting the spaces themselves was something that we pivoted to first before we got Lashana to join our team.
Thank you.
So the first of your core tenets is community. Are you worried that giving people too much flexibility in terms of where they work will sort of drive down the feeling of community that might exist if they are more tied down to one specific co-working space?
So since our customer is the space themselves, it's not the entrepreneur. We're able to so the entrepreneur, they're building community in their space, and we just encourage those values for the space themselves. So even 1 million cups, there's other cities that don't have 1 million cups, and so we have relationships with Kaufman where we're able to help them get that. Other programs that build community. We also are very much a part of Burger Friday here, and Spanish-speaking lunch that happens every Wednesday here. So it's a lot of the strategies of how a space can build community.
But in the future, we have visions of using technology to prompt someone when they're traveling to connect with someone within that space. So maybe they walk into a space and a notification on their application says, hey, your company is in this sector, this industry, where we could use artificial intelligence to tell them maybe you should connect with this company when you go to that space. So that's one way that you could build community even while someone's traveling, so that travel experience isn't as isolating. And that's something that Airbnb kind of tackles is, when you're traveling, let's have an experience with locals.
So you mentioned that you were in Asia for a few weeks. Can you talk about some of the biggest changes or perspectives that they have over there in regards to shared workspaces as opposed to in the West?
So in the West, in the U.S. and in Europe, co-working is, people get it. They understand. It's a much older industry, even though the industry is not that old. But people tend to be more collaborative. What I discovered in Asia was it's a culture of follow the leader, and it's also people don't want to stand out, which is pretty much the opposite of people in the U.S. And so when I walked into these, what were supposed to be collaborative workspaces, it was super quiet and people weren't talking to each other. But I found here and there these spaces that were the pioneers of this idea of collaboration. And they would tell me things like, you know, this year we're really focusing on collaboration, and we've even started hosting happy hours on Fridays to get people to talk to each other. Which to me was funny, because when you open a space, that's kind of, in the US, that's the first thing you do. But there, these spaces were 5 years old, but they were just that year starting that. So that was really insightful about how in the eastern side of the world, they have real challenges with collaboration and as a result, like sparking that innovation. But it's starting to trend. Malaysia was probably the most forward-thinking country that I visited.
Great work, you two. I just have a thought. Have you thought of maybe extending it past maybe the traveling entrepreneur more to maybe the traveling businessman or woman? So for example, like during certain conventions at the convention center, like Starbucks is just packed. So then I go to the Marriott, the little indoor court area, and it's packed. Have you thought about maybe partnering with something like the convention center and saying, hey, we offer these spaces nearby for people who need a quiet place to work, a quiet place to conference, or what have you. And we're uniquely situated in that we're right next door to a ginormous convention center. But this has to be replicated throughout the United States.
Yeah, yes, we have. And one thing, actually, what we're doing right now, we've formed a partnership with Marriott to do that, right, actually next door. And then we are looking at the next year of scaling them out to different hotel lobby areas and business centers where we can make that available to a traveling business person. Because also what's great about that is that they have the real estate. It makes it easy. Lashana will build the app where they can quickly book into it. It most likely won't be a charge for the traveling person. The hotel, they pay to put basically ads where like, hey, you're here working here for free. Why not stay a night or two? Or here's your discount for that. So that's something that we're looking into right now.
And as we build out more free spaces in our app, then traveling business people can, as they're staying at the Marriott, they can look at what other spaces are near me that are free because this one's really crowded.
Thank you. First of all, I think this is a great idea, and I think it's interesting to see the transition from 15, 20 years ago. It was like, hey, work at home. Everyone's going to be working at home. Thinking, obviously, people need community, going that direction. My question is just on, with this wonderful idea, how do you protect your idea, or how are you going to keep, because it doesn't seem as if there's like something that there's a patent or something there. How are you going to make sure other competitors, or are there other competitors in this field, and how do you make sure that other people don't push their way in or something? I don't know. This question.
Well, one of our initial competitors was Liquid Space, because that's on-demand booking of spaces. That was our largest competitor. And now with the 3 different pools that we're doing, so we have the association for the spaces, the network of spaces. We have the freemium to paid app, and then the venture arm. We feel like speed is one of our greatest benefits and agility. So we're a very small team, and we can make changes as needed really quickly. And I forgot the other point I was going to make, so I'll give it to you.
And actually, really, the foundation of what we are truly a community company.
That was my point.
That's what we are. We're not a tech company. We are a community. So very similar to also the WeWork model a little bit. So we are taking on management deals of several spaces. One that will actually be opening up in February of next year. So we are scaling out to physical spaces. So basically, we are a strong network, which is a community.
Other questions?
So based on the community aspect, have you thought about maybe partnering up with meetups? Because, I mean, there's tons of people who get together and they go, well, we're going to meet. You can't all fit in somebody's basement or something. I mean, that's like as community as it gets, right?
Yes, so I agree with you. So since Meetup was bought by WeWork, we did go around that route, but we are currently looking at, well, actually we have been doing this, LinkedIn local events. They're very similar to Meetup, so we actually just hosted our own like a month ago. That was really successful. In 2019, we'll set like a certain amount of LinkedIn local events that we do. And we do it inside the spaces that are within our network. And LinkedIn Local, so if you guys don't know, it is very similar to Meetup, where it basically takes LinkedIn community from online to offline, and it has a very strong draw with people in the community. So it is like worldwide, and any type of company can host these events. But yeah, so that's something that we are doing.
I was just going to add that last year we hosted 14 events.
Yes. And a lot of you guys came.